These are my own opinion. Okay, don't shoot me. Never know what we are not.
Hello everyone, my name is Lenin. So welcome to Coffee Tea Money Talk. So today with me, Kieran again, and we actually welcome Ronald back again.
Hello.
Today we actually want to dig his brain now, okay? So Ronald, today why we are inviting you here because is that we know that you are the veteran in the industry, and then we wanted to ask you, for especially businessmen, so how do we actually plan to secure their retirement? Because doing business is not easy. So you who actually are advisor for them, so how do we actually plan? Or maybe I would say, okay, what kind of challenges, as you know, for business owner that they face in Singapore?
Yeah, I think from these are my own opinion. Okay, don't shoot me. Okay.
No worries.
Yeah, I think over the years of talking to so many business owners, discussing their business matters and all this, I think there are a few misconceptions. Okay, the first one, of course, is don't need to retire one. I don't intend to retire. Work until the day I die. 活到老，做到老. And I mean, on this context is a bit risky because we never know what we are not Ultraman. Okay. Right? Yeah. What if after a decade of hard work, we are closer to retirement, we think we can still enjoy life and all this. Suddenly we have a health crisis, and we did not plan for anything because we always deferred succession. We always deferred planning for it because we always think that anyway I'll be working here. Right? So I think that is one of the misconceptions, also a challenge, right? Because people, when they realize that they are not adequately set up, the runway to retirement planning on this may be too short. The second misconception probably is people who tell us that I don't need to retire, I don't need to plan for retirement because look at my business. What every year business is like, oh, what is profit? ATM I got 30-40% return, better than any investment and all this. I don't need to plan. I can always easily afford to retire. Yeah. So I think on that context, okay, it's also very dangerous, right? Because we may not be able to forecast what the economy, changes may bring. Right? COVID taught us a very good lesson. Yeah, we may think that we run a very invincible business. My sector will never go down one. COVID comes, suddenly lockdown, total revenue collapse. We can no longer fund our expenses. We can no longer fund our business. What used to be a normal overhead becomes a financial burden to us.
True.
So I think this is another key challenge. Right. The third one I think will be people who thought that I want to find a successor. I really want to plan retirement, but let me think about it next year. Then next year.
Next year.
Okay.
Yeah. So the day never comes until suddenly it becomes too late. Yeah. They want to exit, but they realize that they are stuck. Yeah.
Okay. So at least now you answer some of our myth lah. So as a seasoned veteran financial advisor, so how do you actually help these businessmen to allocate their assets? So today they say, hey, as what you say, my business is doing well. Then why should I engage you? How do you actually share with them that how do they
allocate their assets? Especially you mentioned very good point, because some of their business owner concern is that my business can generate 50% net profit compared to whatever investments that you have in the market, right? My business has the best ROI. Then how do you actually tell them that there are certain things that they miss out, and these are the challenges that they probably need to overcome lah. So I think this is part that we really need to tap your brain on this portion.
When I chit chat with business owners, I always try to help them understand and bring to them the awareness that our business, right, is subject to a lot of different uncertainties. Okay. Things that we don't know can happen, and oftentimes as a business owner ourselves, we do not know what we don't know. Yeah. So when it comes to planning for retirement adequacy, I think we can't just depend on our own business. So I always get to ask them to consider thinking about, have you considered CPF, setting up a proper structure of asset allocation outside of your business? Because the asset concentration of most business owners, I'm using a very general
generic kind of.
Very generic kind, because when we talk about business owner in Singapore, we are talking about SMEs, right? SMEs, you have all the micro SMEs, your turnover less than $500,000, all the way up to very big SME owners, okay, who probably are the ultra high net worth family businesses and all this. Okay, so I'm just using a very generic, framework to discuss. Okay, so end of the day, we need to set up our own asset allocation, okay, to fund our own retirement. And we have to start to learn how to think of putting our business outside of our retirement plan. Yeah, because end of the day, if you think about it, when we retire, our business is no longer there. But what is important is that we must know how to leverage on our business to help us to build our retirement. Yeah, so I think putting myself, as a business owner, right? What I will do if I were many business owners, will be make sure that I'm adequately paid in my company. Yeah, some business owners don't pay themselves salaries. They say, I reinvest back into the company.
That's a very common way to
and then whatever expenses I charge, for my own personal expenses, all this. Anyway, I spend on under the company lah. Anyway, who cares? Left pocket, right pocket, all my pocket lah. Correct. But there is a very significant difference, especially if you are a private limited company owner. Okay, so I will always start with CPF. It's a very important basic social security framework to ensure that we have the basic, healthcare, retirement provision. CPF is wonderful, right? I'm not ambassador for CPF today, but from a practical perspective, CPF really can cover a lot of things and do a lot of things. Okay, of course, it can't give a lot of, it can't give us a luxurious living, but at least we know that our basic is covered. Like for me as a business owner, I want to always make sure that, if worst thing happen, I lost all my business, I lose everything and all this, what's the term in Chinese? Never mind. The worst thing, the nightmare of nightmare, I lose everything. I become nobody, nothing. Okay?
You still have your CPF.
I know when I turn 65, my CPF will still be able to pay me money until I mati.
But then, from what I understand, for self-employed, they only contribute to MediSave,
That's self-employed. But if you are talking about business owner and all this, they can also get paid salary. Okay, so business owner, let's start with self-employed. Self-employed, they don't have any employment income. They are people like yourself. Okay, they have trade income because they run a business. They may be a profession and all this. Okay, so there's no mandatory contribution to CPF required. So they only make the mandatory CPF MediSave contribution.
Exactly.
Okay, based on the amount and all this. Alright, so as a business owner, self-employed, okay, I think it's important that they also voluntarily do contribution into their own CPF. Then it will allocate all the contribution into the CPF into the 3 accounts for them. Okay, and at the same time, they can also do further by doing things like SRS contribution, the retirement sum cash top up to further enhance their tax savings. So when they do that, they will ensure that they have at least a basic stream of retirement protection that they can build toward. And we all know, right? This year, our minister came out with CPF came with changes, right? Yeah, the SA is going to be closed.
Yeah, that's why problem, right?
Now no more shielding. So how? Okay, so the strategy is very simple. All right, maximize our contribution and focus on meeting the FRS before we hit 55. Because if we are able to contribute up to our FRS, actually our retirement sum takes care of itself. Because the retirement sum, I think, increases at 3% every year, right? Yeah. But special account pays 4% at least. Okay,
but then you're going to close out at 55, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we meet our FRS, also let's say right now I'm 48. Okay, I meet my FRS today. Yeah. Every year my FRS will increase by 3%.
Correct.
But my interest inside will ensure that whatever increment, is covered. Yeah, and then I can continue to do whatever employment income contribution to it if I can. Okay, so back to the employee context. As an employee, I can contribute beyond my FRS because if I receive a salary, the contribution actually is not subject to the cap under the FRS. Okay, going to my special account. Okay, right. So that means I can contribute, above and beyond my FRS as an employee.
So for tax savings as well, they contribute to their special account every year.
They contribute as an employee to the CPF.
Okay.
Which automatically goes to the special account as well.
Okay. Okay. So you actually my another question that I have for you is that so many business owner plans to sell their business as a retirement strategy. So what is
it's very common, right?
Yeah, they always
show very common. But think about it, sell to who?
That's right.
It's not watch, it's not Alipok. Watch, I want to throw this one out. Wow, people buy. I tell you, I want to start my business. Who will buy?
But the business owner will say that one day they will
just sell off.
exit
Got people buy.
Yeah.
So that's where again, I think we try to help them understand that, exit planning comes in a very meticulous and carefully thought out manner. Yeah, I mean, if they are confident that they are running a monopoly or business that's very attractive and they want to sell it and there's a ready market for sale, then it's fine. But most SMEs, unfortunately, don't have. Look at hawkers. They have run their trade for the last 2-3 generations.
Yep.
Even today, they are having problems. Just selling the secret recipe for a couple 100,000. There's no people who take up, and they cannot retire as a result. They are stuck. Right, so it's always still prudent to, while we are still active in work, set aside some money, all right, prepare for our future retirement. Okay, so I mentioned CPF, right, just now. Okay, so on top of CPF, we can do many other things. We can
SRS.
we can do SRS, we can get into our own retirement income planning, right, using endowment policies, retirement income, we can do our own investments. So eventually, we build up a portfolio allocation of retirement security. For business owner.
But then it's not enough. I mean, not luxurious enough, but very, very basic.
At least you cover the basic, and then if you think that I want to have more, all right, more luxurious kind of retirement lifestyle, increasing my discretionary income, they can always invest more, all right? And then that gives them a flexible choice. Okay, because retirement is all about flexibility.
Yep.
Retirement doesn't mean we don't work, right? It means that we have a choice to work or to do what we love doing. Right. So by then, since they have their own basic setup provided already, the sale of business becomes a activity that they can think of. All right. If there's a taker, they can sell it in full. They can exit in full. If there's no taker, all right, they can still retain it. Maybe find somebody to run it. It will still create some income and still be able to supplement whatever they have set up. So it won't be so risky as compared to not having anything and then just having a wish that later on I can sell my business away.
So in this context actually is you are saying that very unlikely it's going to happen in Singapore.
Without a proper planning.
Nothing happens without planning. Right. So
they can still sell, but it's really going to take a very long time and quite tough.
Yeah, every business is different, but end of the day, no business can sell its business just like that without adequate planning.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you want to sell your business, you must make sure that your valuation is sound. You must make sure that you have good track record, and that will be the basic things that will attract potential investor or buyer of the business, right? And then if it's a trade or a craft, then that becomes even more challenging because I can sell the business away, but the one that make the business work, the one that do all the magic, retiring. Wow.
It's the business owner themselves.
Yeah, it's the business owner himself.
So sometimes that could be the dilemma that the businesses may have also.
Okay. Good. Okay, so I mean now we understand that selling business is difficult, right? Then what about business succession? Do you actually educate them on this area about business succession?
I won't say educate, but I will say we often get into very interesting discussions.
Okay.
Because it is this kind of thing is best to be discussed informally. Yeah.
Okay.
Over a cup of coffee, over a drink. Yeah. Then they start to.
All their hearts to you.
What's the point of having such a successful business?
My son don't
My son every day tell me don't want to take over my job, say long hours, say dirty work and all this. Sorrowful and all this. Okay. Yeah, I mean, end of the day, it's true. As a business owner, who don't want to have succession? Who don't want to have a legacy that to remember the kind of kingdom, the Jiangshan that we have built up? But the reality is, today a successor is not easy to come by. Okay? There are many reasons. One of them is the successor is not interested. Okay. The other reason could be the industry that you're operating in is a sunset industry. If I let my successor take over, 我不是害了他。
Okay.
Right. So I mean there are many things to think about in that sense. So if you are talking about a viable industry where the industry outlook is very sound, the business is able to continue, all right, you're running a monopoly or oligopoly kind of business, then succession planning is a very important aspect, okay, for exit. Otherwise it becomes another problem. Okay, but if the industry, the business is in a sunset, then it may be better to exit while you are at the peak, and then take the money and then consider doing something else until you want to retire.
So far, you have talked to so many businessmen, right? So what is actually the amount they are looking at to retire? I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, you don't give me. I mean, not like $1 million, but I mean, on average, because businessmen has high expectation of life, so I'm also curious, like, how much do they actually want when they retire?
I think, okay, I can't say for every businessman, but generally, I think if they are successful right now, okay, they are already living their life already. So the business to them is more of a exit strategy for them. Yeah. So as to a number, I really don't have it. I can't think of it. But if you change the thinking to another angle, right? I think it's more important to ask the question of how are you going to encash your business. So to the end, I think a few ways. First of all, is to make sure that somebody is taking over the business. All right, it can be a management buyout, simple as that. I sell my business to a key employee, okay, to take over my business. All right, if the key employee have no money, then there's always ways that we can strike a deal, right? Why don't you work in the company? I mean, you're the managing director. All right, I be the chairman or whatever. Okay, yeah. So you run the company, I give you some shares, right? So it becomes like a collaborative effort. So it's like an installment sale, plus you are still holding control.
I see.
So it's always better than want to find a buyer, but the employee got no money to buy.
Yeah, I think that's always the case, right? I mean, we got money, is employee, right?
Yeah. Money don't drop from the sky, right?
That's why.
Yeah. So there must be some kind of installment exit structures available, and to that end we can talk about a lot of different possibilities. Yeah.
And I think one thing that business owners face is that sometimes they commingle with their personal assets as well, right? How do we, advise business owner or what are things that business owners should take note of, especially if they are, they expense off their daily expenses through the company in a way that they commingle their personal assets and their business assets all together. So, I mean, from your point of view, how they can actually better, segregate or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, commingling of personal assets with business assets is something that is frowned upon. Okay, personally speaking, all right, if I know of people who are doing that as a business owner, I would maybe check with them, is there any particular reason why you want to do it? And I also want to find out, are they aware of the impending risk of commingling their assets? Because the implication in the worst case scenario is you are piercing the legal veil. You set up a private limited company to have a separation legally between yourself as a shareholder, all right, and your company, right? But you commingle your asset. Okay, effectively you are saying that, my intention is not to have a separation. I want everything to be together. So when it comes to bankruptcy, you lose the protection.
Wow.
Okay.
So it defeats the purpose of setting up a private limited at the end of the day.
It defeats the purpose of setting up that legal veil in the first place.
So to ring fence the assets becomes a very important role for business owners, especially if their intention is to set up a private limited in that sense.
Yeah. I believe many of them in the kind of situation have already set up and done it already. So I think what is important is they can consider, all right, yeah, instead of putting all the expenses to the company, all right, pay themselves a proper salary, okay, and then that probably represents the expenses they will charge to the company anyway, plus another 20-30% buffer, okay, and that 20-30% buffer is for them to do their own financial planning. So if I know that my expenses is 10,000 a month, okay, I don't pay myself so much. So if I know my monthly expenses is $10,000 a month, okay, yeah, I'm going to charge them to my company anyway. So why don't I pay myself a salary, at least equivalent, so I can ensure that I have at least my CPF, because the company will have to pay me CPF as well, and the company claims deduction. All right, yeah, I don't get the portion, taxable, because employer contribution is tax free. All right, employee contribution, I enjoy my employee relief. So as a business owner, it makes sense, right? Left pocket in, right pocket also in. Okay. And then I add another 30% buffer. That 30% buffer can be used for financial planning. 10% can be used for, protection. Okay, protect my loved ones, my dependents. 10% can be used to fund my retirement. 10% can be set aside for general investing.
But so this is actually what you really tell those business owners.
I can suggest I can tell them everything I want to tell. But
okay.
Whether they execute, that's
Okay.
But in my opinion, I think it's a very important thing that they think about. rather than considering that, hey, my business is my jiangsan, everything, I have control in everything, without knowing the kind of legal risk that they may be in.
Then what about insurance? I mean, businessmen hate insurance, right? I don't know. I mean, this is like the perceived value that, why want to buy insurance? They always say, why you want to buy insurance?
If businessmen hate insurance, then probably they don't know the potential of what insurance can do.
Yes.
Right, especially when they are in a crisis. Yeah, I don't know, but as a business owner, I love to buy insurance.
I think a lot of people will come after you.
And I'm not selling insurance when I say that. Okay, because if you look at it from a perspective of a business, okay, we talk about exit just now. Yeah. If I want to exit my business, all right, because I can no longer run it physically, I'm ill, I'm sick, and all this. Okay, insurance creates money for me when I'm sick, when I'm down. Okay, so instead of finding a buyer to encash my business, I have money, buy insurance.
Okay.
Insurance is a very good source of income for my retirement. Okay, in terms of like retirement income plans and all this, because what other things can give me contractually guaranteed income?
They will say they can buy blue chip stocks, ma.
Blue chips are 保价嘛. In fact, the blue chips of 20 years ago today may not be a blue chip. Today may be a very hot piece of red chip.
Okay.
May not be able to rely on the same blue chip. Okay, and macros have changed. I mean, even in Singapore, right? Can I say let's move on. Yeah, blue chips are not always blue chips. Okay, in fact, some of them have changed in quality.
But in insurance, they always say non-guaranteed portion, ma. There's this guaranteed and non-guaranteed portion, right? So then, say what? Hey, why Ronald?
Guaranteed portion provides certainty. Non-guaranteed portion is non-guaranteed law, but non-guaranteed portion, will it be zero?
No lah.
Exactly, no. Correct. So at the end of the day, what is important? Is it more important to have a high return, or is it more important to ensure certainty? I think as a business owner, we have taken enough risk. And to balance out the risk, it's important to put in some element of certainty. And that's where, safety net, insurance policy, providing guaranteed income, some guaranteed component. End of the day, a policy is guaranteed by contracts. Yeah. So that could be something that, business owners can think about. Yeah. But I know it's sometimes very hard to get them to understand it because they have not spoken to a lot of advisors on how to do it. Yeah.
Because I believe there are challenges and the mindset is also very different from people who are employees, right? Because, I mean, like what I said earlier on, they always feel that their business gives the best ROI and most of their net worths are in the business itself. Yeah.
It is not uncommon. I mean, most business owners, as a general person, it will always be natural that I tend to be more, akin to focus more on the things I'm competent in.
And this is the first port of go and...
Exactly. So if I'm a business owner, I know how to run my business and I can run my business very well to make a lot of profit. Nothing else attracts me.
That's why that's the problem they always have.
Yeah. So as a professional, we have to help them understand that maybe it's also good that we diversify our risk. Yeah, because concentration, I mean, all of us probably will realize that concentration is a significant risk. Yeah, and COVID have taught us a lesson. Our business is not 打不死的. Sometimes all it takes is one event. We may be lucky during COVID, our business boom. But we may not know what is the next pandemic, what's the next crisis that may totally collapse our business.
Right.
So as a risk management perspective, from a portfolio allocation perspective, I think it's important to consider other asset classes, other instruments, and insurance is just one of the many.
Okay. So I mean, thanks Ronald. I think we're gonna wrap up for today. So again, we're gonna give away some home content insurance. Okay, insurance is important. So if you are a business owner, I mean, you have a startup capital of 100K, drop us a message. Then we are happy to give you a complimentary home content insurance.
Later I send you.
Okay. Okay, thank you Ronald again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.